You have seen the image 1,000 times. A stone rolled away, an empty space where a body should be. It looks like the ending of a story, but Scripture points to something deeper. The tomb was not just empty. It was arranged. Grave robbers do not fold laundry. Yet the Gospel of John describes the burial cloths left behind, neatly separated exactly where the head had been. Why does that matter? Because in Jewish burial custom, a body was wrapped tightly with spices packed between the layers. To steal it quickly, you would take the cloth too. Here, only the body is gone. Scholars like N.T. Wright have pointed out how strange this detail really is. Step back further. The earliest Christian message did not even start with an empty tomb. Paul's letter to the Corinthians records a creed that historian Gary Habermas dates to within just a few years of the crucifixion. That Christ died, was buried, was raised, and appeared. That timing matters. This was not a legend that grew slowly over decades. So why does the tomb matter at all? Because it was the test. Anyone in Jerusalem could walk there and check. If the body remained, a single afternoon could have ended the whole movement. Yet the earliest accusation against the disciples was never the tomb was full. It was that they stole the body. Even the opposition assumed it was empty. You live in a world that treats absence as failure. An empty chair, an empty room, silence after a prayer you stopped expecting, answered. But here, absence becomes proof of presence. Notice who found it first. Not the disciples. Women whose testimony carried little legal weight in that culture. If this story were invented, this is exactly the detail no one would choose. Have you ever noticed how the truest moments in your own life are the quiet ones nobody would think to invent? Consider the tomb itself. It belonged to Joseph of Arimathea, a council member who had condemned Jesus, yet gave up his own new tomb, cut into rock, the kind archaeologists have found throughout the region. Why would he do that? Because sometimes faith costs us something we were saving for ourselves. And consider what happened next to the people who stood near it. Peter had denied even knowing Jesus. Within weeks, he was preaching the resurrection publicly in the same city to the same authorities. The historian Josephus later mentioned that Jesus' followers did not abandon their devotion after his death. People do not usually face prison or execution for something they know is a lie. What could explain a change like that? Think about your own empty places right now. A relationship that ended, a plan that fell apart, a prayer met with silence. You have learned to read emptiness as ending. But what if some of it is not absence at all? What if it is being folded carefully, quietly, before you ever arrive to look? The stone did not need to move for Jesus to leave. It moved so you could look inside. The miracle had already happened before anyone got there. So look again at what feels hollow in your life. Ask yourself honestly whether you checked if it was folded with care. You have seen this image 1,000 times. A stone rolled away, an empty space where something used to be. But now you know it was never simply an ending. It was an invitation to look closer.